Danny Berlin, Andy Bjerkestrand, Tyler Bobo 2 times.
Tyler Bobo, brand new. That's his first one. So
Yeah. First and second. Bob Boldy, Marcy Bouchard, a couple times.
Vacation.
Yep. Dave Bowman, Dave Brown,
Oh, I saw her.
Kristen Cole, Kai Coleman.
Yay, cotton.
Yeah.
I'm gonna kill him.
No Kai.
Hold on. Hold on.
Oh, okay.
No.
I know he is.
Hey, damn it.
Should I just slip in the side over here?
Watch out, you're about to get dead.
Literally getting called out.
Yeah, this is legit.
Yeah, put it on speaker. It is a little frightening, but I'm gonna live on the
What the greeting might be.
Trust me, I was thinking the same thing. Maybe I'll take that.
Yeah, God, don't ever do that to me, please.
You just make sure you're here.
Right.
Oh, she got this.
Ooh.
Oh, no, he didn't. I have you on speakerphone. I'm in the team meeting with a payday and candy bar to throw to you, and you're not here. And I know you're in the building. And
Way to
you're
go,
ignoring my call,
Kai.
so
Way to go.
we don't like to say congratulations on your closing. Everybody clap.
Get your butt down here.
Kevin Cross, Matt Dimmick,
Yes, I get to throw one.
Tammy Donahue, Sean Donahue, Ed Erickson, Jeannie Erickson, Sam Gemelli, Kelly Harris, Quake Hayden, Elizabeth Hockendahl. I always butcher that one, sorry. Vicky Hudson, Sean Huffstetler, Butch Jakes, Patrick James, Tim Kelly, Rob King, Michael King, July Leslie, on the phone, making it happen. She's talking to Kai.
That's a real thing.
Christina Leon,
I saw her.
I know, I just saw her. Valisa, Scotty Lucas, Amy, 1, 2, 3 times.
Yay! Wow.
Mark Mandigo,
Oh, hold on.
I heard him. New box.
Watch out.
that's a fresh one, Mark.
She's
You're
new.
just
I
passing
can't
it.
scare her.
You don't catch as easy.
Just pass it back, Mark. You're not gonna eat it. Come on.
Justin McGee a couple of times. Reed Moore a handful of times. Kirk Moses, Holly Myers, Stephen Ollendorf, Diet Owen, Amy Peltier, Brandy Bennington, Carrie Perkins, Clinton Peterson, Kathleen Poulin, Heather Powell, Hope Russo, Stuart Smith, Liz Spikes, Jennifer Stallcup a handful of times, Don Storm a couple of times, Derek Suter, Christy Tanner, Ryan Tolson, Jeremy Tompkins, Randy Wagner, Tope Cutoff Market Analysis Mile, 2.6.
Hey, it's real estate in Alaska.
Dar Walden, Dan Wolf, Denny Wood, and Kylie Wise.
Congratulations, you guys.
Wow.
We're pretty excited for how the rest of the month is going to shake out. So we're rocking this month. We're sitting at 231 closed units with
Holy
5
cow.
days left to go, and 252 is our best month ever. So we're going to blow past that. I have my own goals that I will speak privately, but it's exciting. So good stuff. A couple of training calendar stuff to go over with you. Thursday, what's happening Thursday? Beth is here. She got in about 1 o'clock this morning. I did not have to pick her up from the airport, thank goodness. And she's all settled in and getting into her hotel. She's going to spend the day kind of tooling around Anchorage and maybe even go to the state fair today. And Wednesday afternoon, she's going to be meeting with our ambassadors and spending some time with them. And then Thursday, we've got her all day, and trust me, you do not want to miss it. I know it's the end of the month. I know it's a crazy time. We'll be here. You can step out if you need to deal with some stuff on deals or whatever that you're trying to get closed before the end of the month. But trust me, you don't want to miss her teaching. In addition, she's a MATS coach. So, she brings kind of a coaching perspective to her teaching style, which is really engaging and exciting, and she's just fun. You'll enjoy it. It won't be like tech trading that you're your brain feels like a wire whisk, just scrambled it to pieces, you'll walk away going, okay, I get it.
What else time? What time?
Like 9 to 4.
We need to sign up.
Nope, just show up.
And bring our own stuff?
Yep.
Is there gonna be lunch?
No. There's
Yeah, what are you
Ruby's.
bringing?
We'll send everybody to Ruby's downstairs.
break for lunch?
Yes.
No.
We're not allowed to eat, or have water, or go to the bathroom, none of
Bring
it.
your cat.
I mean, are you committed or what? Seriously? Come
Or
on.
not?
Depends. What else do we have for for training? Mr. Bell?
Let's see, is today Tuesday?
Yes.
Tuesday, yes.
Tomorrow is
So-
higher earnings.
So tomorrow, yep, we have our earnings course here at 1 o'clock. And really the highlight has been on the E-Edge for Thursday, you know, specifically.
Is Reed
so.
teaching Wednesday?
Reed's
Yep.
teaching Wednesday from 1:30 to 3
Tomorrow.
on our, yeah, exactly, tomorrow.
2:30.
Sorry, 1 to 2:30.
Yep.
And what's,
Cool.
and so he's in here,
He's coming in. That's
yeah,
good.
he went out to Wasilla on Monday and did the class there, and he'll be doing it here on Wednesday.
Which class?
What class?
Listings that attract
Yeah.
buyers.
How to sell your listings.
Which is an interesting topic, considering I've heard from several of you that it feels like the market just shut off in the last week.
Yeah.
I've heard from a lot of people with listings, multiple people, that they're having a really hard time getting buyers in the door on listings. I don't know if it's school starting, I don't know if it's the fair, all, you know, people trying to get their last fishing
Only
runs
in
in.
Alaska does the state fair.
I know, right? But I mean,
Significant.
I know that and you know, just personally in my world, when school is starting, everything else does kind of stop. I mean, because there's just so much going on. So I don't know if that's it. I think it's something we're gonna keep our eyes on. But just kind of randomly, I've had several agents call and say, I've got 5 listings, I've always been, you know, listing. They've been flying, and it was like it just shut off this last 2 weeks.
I've always noticed, right, the week before school starts, parents get distracted in doing the other thing. And then we've got the state fair, we've got moose hunting season. So Alaska is so item oriented. You know, when the Reds run in mid-June, there's nobody out in the market. You know, when the river opens for dip
from
netting.
June 20 to June 27, just don't plan on working, and then
That's
from
right. dip
late
netting.
August.
In July, when you get to the opens, you've got that, and then
When you're
August, now
dip
that they
netting.
bumped school up,
Yeah.
you know, I've noticed over the last 3 years since we moved school up to open 2 weeks earlier, we've got the school, the state fair, and moose season. So a 3-week period right there, it's like, there might be women out, but the men aren't with them.
Caribou season, moose season, September 1st, depending on the rivers.
That's
Unless
one
you're
more
like
week.
Stephanie. And Vicky, holy cow.
Yeah, we have Stephanie Ollendorf, one of our newest licensees, who's, you know, 7 months pregnant, out shooting a something, animal of some sort.
It's called a caribou.
Okay, and Lance Davis's wife out there getting her first caribou.
First thing.
This is not the world I grew up in, let me just. Anything else we need to highlight? Well, Bolt.
Oh, is Bolt coming?
It is
to
coming.
Alaska?
It is, actually. I'm glad you asked, Joe.
When is that?
Let me tell you. Wednesday, October 3rd, first step to Bold, bring your friends. I'm gonna tell you, I've got some skin in the game. I'm involved in a little wager. Not that betting is good or bad, but I may or may not have my October profit share check on the line with 2 other team leaders. One in Roseville and one in Gary Rivas in Burbank, I think, or Beverly Hills area, as to who can get the most agents to the first step of Bold. And so I'm pretty sure that we can do it in Alaska. So our goal is to have 140 people at first step to Bold. And so you're gonna wanna bring your friends. I think, again, I've said it before, I'll keep saying it. I think it's a huge boost to your first quarter 2013. And will get you off to the right start. I've already been talking with some recruits about coming, and we will be Facebooking on Friday the Eventbrite link to register for the first step, which is free. I saw the one from Rosie. She left right one on Facebook. Yeah, exactly. Okay, any questions?
You know the
Yes?
location yet?
No. Still working on that.
When you say first step is free, I don't even know what that means.
Sure. It's an 8-week course, and it's an $800 course. The first week is free, and then you can make the determination if it's something you want to invest in or not for your business, after you kind of get a taste of what it's like.
Question, July.
Actually, I just wanted to remind everyone that ballot measure 1 affects property taxes, and we're voting
There's a vote today?
Don't forget to vote. Yes, sir.
Is Keller Williams agents get the reimbursement for
Yes.
that?
We
So
will
it's
do-
really free to you agents that take advantage of it.
Exactly. We will be doing the reimbursement program again this year. The ALC voted on that or discussed it and decided that we wanted to do that again this year. So basically, for every transaction that you complete or generate through Bold, you will get a $100 credit on your cap. So your cap will be reduced by $100 up to 8 transactions. So it costs you $800, you get your cap reduced by $800, and it's a wash to you. So it's, there's really no way, no reason to not participate in it, because you're gonna get it back.
Credits for inviting.
At this point, we haven't decided to do that, but certainly, we will look at all options. Your profit share tree. Exactly. Any other questions or thoughts before we launch into our topic today?
There won't be any higher earnings next week.
Yes, Labor Day week, and the office will be closed on Monday, so just be, I'm sure you all are aware of that. Yes, we'll have a team meeting on Tuesday. All right. I don't try and teach from videos a lot, but this one to me was worth it. So it's about 12 minutes and 21 seconds. Here's the trick on this one. No side chatter, because you'll miss it. You've got to be paying attention and listen to every word in order to get the full impact. You may want to have a pen and paper to write down some notes based on some things that he's going to give you at the end. But I'm interested to hear your ahas and talk about it. But Bold, when we get into Bold, one of the biggest challenges that Bold addresses is our mindset, right? Who's taken Bold in here before? Would you say that we talk about mindset a lot in Bold? I kind of want you to start thinking about that now, and so that's what this video is teed up for. Make sure we have sound.
Did you already put the sound?
No,
Time, hold please. Pause.
I did. He's the president of the AV club.
I don't think that was a compliment. I didn't find it complimentary.
I thought it was. I think it was intended to be.
I feel like it was a dig.
I was thinking it was intended to be.
Hey, let's see how good your sound works. Here now. Let's watch this cool video that you're not going to hear.
Really fast.
Like I said, not going to hear.
I had to unmute it.
It's still not moving Halsey. Evidently I'm not.
The president of the
I don't see any lights on the stereo.
Is there power?
Like, power button maybe?
Plug it in.
We're
Gallery's open.
There's no lights
Turn it
on.
on.
There's no lights
This
on.
may or may not be our strength set, okay?
Oh,
I'm just plugging stuff in. I'm apologizing for that.
is there lights?
Okay, hold on. I swear we would have taken care of this before. I'm just saying. Okay. That's all I'm for it. Ooh, I hear it. That's positive. I'm gonna refresh and will you bring the video back up? Sorry.
Alright.
Way to go, Joe!
Matt Damon's working idiots.
When I was 7 years old and my sister was just 5 years old, we were playing on top of a bunk bed. I was 2 years older than my sister at the time. I mean, I'm 2 years older than her now, but at the time that meant she had to do everything that I wanted to do, and I wanted to play war. So we were up on top of our bunk beds, and on one side of the bunk bed I had put out all my G.I. Joe soldiers and weaponry, and on the other side were all my sister's Milos and ponies and ready for a cavalry recharge. There are differing accounts of what actually happened that afternoon, but since my sister is not here with us today, let me tell you the true story. Which is my sister is a little bit on the clumsy side, and somehow, without any help or push from her older brother at all, suddenly Amy disappeared off the top of the bunk bed and landed with this crash on the floor. And I nervously peered over the side of the bed to see what had befallen my fallen sister, and saw that she had landed painfully on her hands and knees on all fours on the ground. I was nervous because my parents had charged me with making sure that my sister and I played as safely and as quietly as possible. And seeing as how I had accidentally broken Amy's arm just 1 week before, heroically pushing her out of the way of an oncoming imaginary sniper bullet, for which I am yet to be thanked. I was trying as hard as I could. She didn't even see it coming. I was trying as hard as I could to be on my best behavior, and I saw my sister's face this wail of pain and suffering and surprise, threatening to erupt from her mouth and threatening to wake my parents from the long winter's nap for which they had settled. So I did the only thing my little frantic 7-year-old brain could think to do to avert this tragedy. If you have children, you've seen this hundreds of times before. I said, Amy, wait, don't cry, don't cry. Did you see how you landed? No human lands on all fours like that. Amy, I think this means you're a unicorn. Now that was cheating, because there's nothing in the world my sister would want more than not to be Amy the her 5-year-old little sister, but Amy the special unicorn. Of course, this was an option that was open to her brain at no point in the past. And you could see on my poor, manipulated sister's face conflict, as her little brain attempted to devote resources to feeling the pain and suffering and surprise she just experienced, or contemplating her newfound identity as a unicorn. And the latter won out. Instead of crying, instead of ceasing our play, instead of waking my parents with all the negative consequences that would have ensued for me, instead a smile spread across her face, and she scrambled right back up onto the bunk bed with all the grace of a baby unicorn. With one broken leg. At this tender age of just 5 and 7, we had no idea at the time was something that was going to be at the vanguard of a scientific revolution occurring 2 decades later in the way that we look at the human brain. What we had stumbled across is something called positive psychology, which is the reason that I'm here today and the reason that I wake up every morning. When I first started talking about this research outside of academia, out with companies and schools, the very first thing they said to never do is to start your talk with a graph. The very first thing I wanted to do is start my talk with a graph. This graph looks boring, but this graph is the reason that I get excited to wake up every morning. And this graph doesn't even mean anything, it's fake data. What we found is... if I got this data back sitting you here in the room, I would be thrilled, because there's very clearly a trend that's going on there, and that means that I can get published, which is all that really matters. The fact that there's one weird red dot that's up above the curve, there's one weird in the room, you know who you are, I saw you earlier. That's no problem. That's no problem, as most of you know, because I can just delete that dot. I can delete that dot because that's clearly a measurement error, and we know that's a measurement error because it's messing up my data. So one of the very first things we teach people in economics and statistics and business and psychology courses is how, in a statistically valid way, do we eliminate the weirdos? How do we eliminate the outliers? So that we can find the line of best fit, which is fantastic if I'm trying to find out how many Advil the average person should be taking, too. But if I'm interested in potential, if I'm interested in your potential, or for happiness, or productivity, or energy, or creativity, what we're doing is we're creating the cult of the average with science. If I ask a question like, how fast can a child learn how to read in a classroom? Scientists change the answer to, how fast does the average child learn how to read in that classroom? And then we tailor the class right towards the average. Now, if you fall below the average on this curve, then psychologists get thrilled, because that means you're either depressed, or you have disorder, or hopefully both. We're hoping for both, because our business model is if you come into a therapy session with one problem, we want to make sure you leave knowing you have 10. So you'll keep coming back over and over again. We'll go back into your childhood if necessary, but eventually what we want to do is to make you normal again. But normal is merely average. And what I posit, and what positive psychology posits, is that if we study what is merely average, we will remain merely average. That instead of deleting those positive outliers, what I intentionally do is come into a population like this one and says, why? Why is it that some of you are so high above the curve in terms of your intellectual ability, athletic ability, musical ability, creativity, energy levels, your resiliency in the face of challenge, your sense of humor? Whatever it is, instead of deleting you, what I want to do is study you. Because maybe we can glean information, not just how to move people up to the average, but how we can move the entire average up at our companies and schools worldwide. The reason this graph is important to me is when I turn on the news, it seems like the majority of the information is not positive. In fact, it's negative. Most of it's about murder, corruption, diseases, natural disasters, and very quickly, my brain starts to think that's the accurate ratio of negative to positive in the world. What that's doing is creating something called the medical school syndrome, which if you know people who have been to medical school during the first year of medical training, as you read through a list of all the symptoms and diseases that could happen, suddenly you realize you have all of them. I have a brother-in-law named Bobo, which is a whole other story. Bobo married Amy the unicorn. Bobo called me on the phone from Yale Medical School. From Yale Medical School, and Bobo said, "Sean, I have leprosy." Which even at Yale is extraordinarily rare. But I had no idea how to console poor Bobo because he had just gotten over an entire week of menopause. See, what we're finding is not necessarily the reality that shapes us, but the lens to which your brain views the world shapes your reality. If we can change the lens, not only can we change your happiness, we can change every single educational and business outcome at the same time. When I applied to Harvard, I applied on a dare. I didn't expect to get in, and my family had no money for college. When I got a military scholarship 2 weeks later, they allowed me to go. Suddenly something that wasn't even a possibility became a reality. When I went there, I assumed everyone else would see it as a privilege as well, that they'd be excited to be there. Even if you're in a classroom full of people smarter than you, you'd be happy just to be in that classroom, which is what I felt. But what I found there is while some people experienced that, when I graduated after my 4 years and then spent the next 8 years living in the dorms with the students, Harvard asked me to. Wasn't that guy. But what happened? I was an officer of Harvard to counsel students through the difficult 4 years, and what I found in my research, my teaching, is that these students, no matter how happy they were with their original success of getting into the school, 2 weeks later, their brains were focused not on the privilege of being there, nor on their philosophy or their physics. Their brain was focused on the competition, the workload, the hassles, the stresses, and complaints. When I first went in there, I walked into the freshman dining hall, which is where my friends from Waco, Texas, which is where I grew up. I know some of you have heard of it. When they come to visit me, they look around, they say, "This freshman dining hall looks like something out of Hogwarts from the movie Harry Potter," which it does. This is Hogwarts from the movie Harry Potter, and that's Harvard. When they see this, they say, "Sean, why do you waste your time studying happiness at Harvard? Seriously, what does a Harvard student possibly have to be unhappy about?" Embedded within that question is the key to understanding the science of happiness. Because what that question assumes is that our external world is predictive of our happiness levels. When in reality, if I know everything about your external world, I can only predict 10% of your long-term happiness. 90% of your long-term happiness is predicted not by the external world, but by the way your brain processes the world. And if we change it, if we change our formula for happiness and success, what we can do is change the way that we can then affect reality. What we found is that only 25% of job successes are predicted by IQ. 75% of job successes are predicted by your optimism levels, your social support, and your ability to see stress as a challenge instead of as a threat. I talked to a boarding school up in New England, probably the most prestigious boarding school, and they said, "We already know that." So every year, instead of just teaching our students, we also have a wellness week, and we're so excited. Monday night, we have the world's leading expert coming in to speak about adolescent depression. Tuesday night is school violence and bullying. Wednesday night is eating disorders. Thursday night is illicit drug use. And Friday night, we're trying to decide between risky sex or happiness. I said that's most people's Friday nights. Which I'm glad you liked, but they did not like that at all. Silence on the phone. And into the silence, I said, "I'd be happy to speak at your school, but just so you know, that's not a wellness week, that's a sickness week." What you've done is you've outlined all the negative things that can happen, but not talked about the positive. The absence of disease is not health. Here's how we get to health. We need to reverse the formula for happiness and success. In the past 3 years, I've traveled to 45 different countries, working with schools and companies in the midst of an economic downturn. And what I found is that most companies and schools follow a formula for success, which is this: if I work harder, I'll be more successful. And if I'm more successful, then I'll be happier. That undergirds most of our parenting styles, our managing styles, the way that we motivate our behavior, and the problem is it's scientifically broken and backwards for 2 reasons. First, every time your brain has a success, you just change the goalpost of what success looked like. You got good grades, now you have to get better grades. You got into a good school, now you have to get a better school. You got a good job, now you have to get a better job. You hit your sales target, we're going to change your sales target. And if happiness is on the opposite side of success, your brain never gets there. What we've done is we've pushed happiness over the cognitive horizon as a society. And that's because we think we have to be successful, then we'll be happier. The real problem is our brains work in the opposite order. If you can raise somebody's level of positivity in the present, then their brain experiences what we now call a happiness advantage, which is your brain in positive performs significantly better than it does in negative, neutral, or stress. Your intelligence rises, your creativity rises, your energy levels rise. In fact, what we found is that every single business outcome improves. Your brain in positive is 31% more productive than your brain in negative, neutral, or stress. You're 37% better at sales. Doctors are 19% faster, more accurate at coming up with the correct diagnosis when positive instead of negative, neutral, or stress, which means we can reverse the formula. If we can find a way to be positive in the present, then our brains work even more successfully, as we're able to work harder, faster, and more intelligently. What we need to be able to do is to reverse this formula so we can start to see what our brains are actually capable of. Because dopamine, which floods into your system when you're positive, has two functions. Not only does it make you happier, it turns on all the learning centers in your brain, allowing you to adapt to the world in a different way. We found that there are ways you can train your brain to be able to become more positive. In just a 2-minute span of time, done for 21 days in a row, you can actually rewire your brain, allowing your brain to actually work more optimistically and more successfully. We've done these things in research now in every single company that I've worked with, getting them to write down 3 new things that they're grateful for 21 days in a row, 3 new things each day. And at the end of it, their brain starts to retain a pattern of scanning the world not for the negative, but for the positive first. Journaling about one positive experience you've had over the past 24 hours allows your brain to relive it. Exercise teaches your brain that your behavior matters. We find that meditation allows your brain to get over the cultural ADHD that we've been creating by trying to do multiple tasks at once. Allows your brain to focus on the task at hand. And finally, random acts of kindness or contact kindness to get people when they open up their inbox to write one positive email, praising or thanking somebody in their social media or whatever. And by doing these activities, and by training your brain just like you train your body, what we found is to reverse the formula for happiness and success, and in doing so, not only create ripples of positivity, but create a real revolution.
Well, I'm thinking of this analogy where some people find happiness in, well, being success, in which case he talks about pushing over the horizon. Likewise, you know, you run into individuals in this industry who feel as if they have to be solving a problem in order to be a problem solver.
I call it the Moses syndrome.
And they will actually create problems so that they feel like there's something, they have validation.
I believe that's
So
absolutely accurate.
I think in real estate, you run into individuals, and it's very frustrating to try to be the level-headed one when somebody is creating drama so that they have something in which to feel to be a hero.
I get, Butch will tell you this, we've talked about this before. I call it the Moses syndrome. They have to go part the Red Sea or do something to be the hero and fix it, and if there isn't anything, they'll go create it.
Well, and that's
Absolutely.
that's what our politicians do.
Sure.
I mean, it's hard to be a hero when there's not a real perceived enemy. So create a big ugly enemy, and then you can be a big hero.
There's an actual, there's an article on that very thing where there's a certain type of behavior in people that, for instance, people that are always late, you know, turn off their alarm 6 times and get up at the last minute and they're rushing. Because their bodies perform better on the dopamine, or whatever, dopamine.
Maybe
Dramamine. I love that one.
They are normal unless they are in a panic.
Chaos.
And if they don't have it, they really do create it.
It's
by-
crisis mentality.
Yes, by being, because that's the way they train their bodies, and the psychologists now say they actually can train themselves out of it if they're aware of it. But that is real.
Yeah.
Real problems that, I mean, and then we have peace.
Yeah, it must be an overload of it right now.
Well, it's interesting because I like the way you said that. I've always said to people that I'm coaching with, there's a difference between, and I've said the same thing just a little differently. I've said there's a difference between happiness and joy. Happiness depends on your external circumstances. Joy you can have regardless of external circumstances, right? I really like the way he put it, which is if we determine happiness as a result of success, and then you're successful, but then you lift the bar, then you have to push there to be happy. It's like you're always chasing this goal that you can't ever cognitively grasp. And that makes a lot of sense to me. So the solution is, what's the solution? Changing the filter. Well, have you seen there's a Facebook post that goes around, you know, one day I woke up and I was sad and then I decided I wasn't. And I decided I was awesome. And it's kind of funny, it's one of those, what are they called, e-cards or something, I don't know. But it's very true. It is a choice. It absolutely is a choice. It's a choice as to whether, with this client, you can see the red flags and understand that just in their dialogue you can go, okay, I'm going to have to handle this one a certain way because there's a potential that no matter what I do, it's not going to be good enough. And Butch is going to have to get, I'm going to be calling Butch because I know this client's going to be upset no matter what I do. So maybe you document more. Maybe you check yourself a little better, whatever. But it's not just affecting you and your ability to be successful and happy. This is a great skill set to learn as you perceive the people that you're working with. And I don't just mean other realtors. I mean, you've got clients that change every 45 days. You've got a new set of clients. You've got to constantly be analyzing.
The same thing I tell my sons is that you cannot be a victim and a winner at the same time. I mean, granted, you crash or something happens or whatever it is that's got you. What three good things that you, three positive things that you learned,
Stuck in my head, and I've been wanting to use it. Well, he told me that he was implementing the 21-day challenge. Write down three, he said it literally does take him 3 minutes. He writes down 3 things he's grateful for. He journals about one, it's not saying you don't have to write a novel. You have to compose a John Grisham book here. He just journals about one positive thing that happened the day before, exercise, meditate, and a random act of kindness. I know for a fact that he does these things because the other day he decided to initiate what we called affirmation bombs, where we knew that a friend of ours in the team leader world was having a rough day, and so we basically privately texted everybody we knew and said, hey, go drop a comment on their Facebook and tell them how great they are. So this guy shows up to work one day and boom, his Facebook just blows up with everybody. I mean, probably 30 people posted how much they respected him and whatever. Changed his world. Great random act of kindness. So here's the interesting thing. My friend's been doing this 21-day challenge. I've started to notice on his Facebook, someone posted just the other day, man, you have amazing energy. So great to be around you. I saw someone else, he showed me a text, they said, God, your positive energy is just so phenomenal. I'm so happy to have you in my life. And I'm thinking, maybe that 21-day challenge is really working because suddenly out of the clear blue sky, all these people are saying, what a change you have on me, what an impact. So I really, and that's kind of what prompted me to say, I want to play this in the team meeting and put this out to you guys, particularly going into Bold, where you're going to hear a lot about this. What other ahas did you have from it?
We're kind of on the same thing there. He said to write down 3 gratitudes, each day.
actually triggers the dopamine levels, which do what you said they do. They open up the learning sensors in your brain.
So this is all about handling your own dopamine level. So my grandson's 9, and we had him real pissed off and crying about something a few days ago. I forget what it was.
I wouldn't let him be a unicorn.
So, and he lost his iPod for a long time. It was gone. We couldn't find it. So I said to him, he was all sweating out. I said, well, look, Kelly, aren't you, what time did you find that iPod yesterday? Was it 10 o'clock or 2 o'clock? And all of a sudden, he just was so, oh, we talked about the iPod. So his dopamine level just changed.
You
So-
saw it. You saw it actually change on
I was
his
really
face.
trying to get an appointment with him for listening. But he was happy after that. It was
Yeah.
amazing.
You see that with kids, like we were just talking about, it's like they get hurt, before they do, the instant, oh, yeah, you can get them on something positive.
Yeah, you do it parenting all the time. Oh, no, you're fine, let's go eat some candy, or just anything to get them off of that because they move right past it.
I love telling the story of the first year that we were in Bold. Remember we do that I'm a sales magnet, I'm a sales, which, and I tell the story about, I tell the story about where I went home and my son, who was 9 or 10 at the time, started his first year in football.
It's a great story.
And he could not catch the ball for anything, right? The ball was frightening and scared him, and you throw it at him and he would run away from it. So I said, listen, you just need to get your head screwed on straight because you're fast and you're shooting athletic. And I go, you know what, you're a ball magnet. Say, I'm a ball magnet. I'm a ball magnet. I'm a ball. Say, the ball loves me. The ball loves me. Who does the ball love? The ball loves me. And pretty soon, man, it was just like that. The next practice, we took him, and he was just, every time he was catching it, he's going, the ball's coming home, the ball loves me. He wasn't scared of it. And the coach looked at me, he goes, what did you do? He goes, I'd never seen. He goes, man, from that, he was either a quarterback or wide receiver, and they're like, we just know he ain't going to drop that ball. It was all mindset issue.
I absolutely, and one of the things I'm really excited about Bold coming back is that the first time it came, there was a lot of things that I implemented in parenting as well that really were game changers. But on a similar note, I had a conversation with one of my son's friends one day. They had a mini camp, and he was a receiver. And excuse my language, the coach had changed his name to Damn it Jasper because every time the ball came in, he dropped it, and that's what they would say. And he couldn't catch the ball ever. And he gets in the car one day, and we're driving to go get dinner, and I got my son and him and some other football boys, and I said, Jasper, what do you think? When that ball is coming and you're the receiver, what's in your head? He goes, I am just thinking, I don't want to drop the ball. Don't drop the ball. I said, okay, here's what I want you to do. Go find your spot on the bench and pick it out, because that's where you're going to be all season. What you got to do is change, or you can change your mindset and say, I'm catching this ball. The ball loves me, whatever. The kid's number 13 is on the news all the time now, and he's catching the ball, and he beat that same drop the ball habit because he had to learn to change his mindset. You're absolutely right. I mean, we can line up story after story after example after example. It's not rocket science. It just requires that you think. Do you get that? You don't just react to life. And that's one of our challenges. We go through life reacting to everything that comes at us, whether it's a difficult client or a deal that falls apart. We spend our days reacting. And when you react, number one, you're not prepared. So you react out of emotions and you're not thinking. As opposed to being proactive, in the morning, how am I tackling this day? What is my mindset? Because when you're proactive and you're prepared, I don't care what life throws at you, you can deal with it and be successful because you've already decided you're happy. So that's done and done. Now you can go be successful.
One thing I have in my window, I read the book Fish, which is a great book about customer service. It was recommended by one of my maps coaches. I have a NASCAR coach. And I took something from there, I have it on my window. It says, choose your attitude. Today's menu, I have a smiley face, I have a frowning face. If I'm in a bad mood, I look at that and I realize, okay, yeah, I can choose.
I've already checked, yeah, exactly. Yeah. Absolutely. That's a great book, by the way, Fish. If you guys haven't read it, it's about Pike's, I'm blanked on it, Pike's Fish Market down in Seattle. But that, and I guess that's something that I get so passionate about, and it's why I really enjoy the fact that this guy can talk about thinking and make it fun. Did you laugh? Did you think it was funny? It was great. It's one of our biggest, not to be too soapboxy, it's one of our biggest failures in society. We quit teaching people how to think. You know, we taught everybody that your emotions and your heart rule the world. Well, what do you feel? Who cares what you feel? Because the wind can blow and then you'll change. I mean, seriously, have you ever been mad at your husband? Because he left the toilet, you left the toilet seat up, and I'm not kidding. Like, seriously, you've been mad at him because he didn't put the towel in the dirty clothes? So you're mad. Does that mean you divorced him? You obviously no. I'm using a very specific, a very watered down example, but you get my point. Your feelings will change. Your feelings change all the time. You have to, and I'm not saying be stoic, but I'm saying use your brain because it's super effective. Did you hear those numbers he gave at the end? 37% more successful in sales when people are focused on the right thing. I'll take a 37% increase all day long and twice on Sunday. That's a great percentage. Here's how you do it. Change your mindset. So we're not trying to be all, airy-fairy, but this is science. This is proven. We get this.
I love how he talked about, because it's true, I mean, they look at the average and they throw away the other data points. I love his concept of don't look at what's average. We want to be here. We want to move everyone up here.
Well, it's why we teach to the top of the room. It's why all of our instruction is built around the top agents. Not because we expect that everybody in the world is going to build a $50 million team, nor do we want that. That's not real estate. There's room for, but we know that when you teach up here, there's room for everyone to achieve what they want in that area. And we'd like you to have that life worth living. So if we can teach you to be happy first, success will follow, and it will follow in a greater proportion. Does that make sense? Any other thoughts or ahas?
You talked about asking the right mindset. The big aha for me is, this is very, how many people have ever listened to Tony Robbins or done any of his power sessions? He says specifically that, listen, whatever you ask, you will receive. Most of us ask inept questions. Like we ask, why can't I make that deal hold together? Why can't I make this happen? Your mind wants to be right. And when you ask yourself those negative questions, you will look for a reason to justify it. Rather than thinking in the positive, how do I make this happen and what steps can I take? The one analogy he gives is a lady came to him and said, I don't understand why I just keep dating these horrible losers. And his first question was, well, why do you keep giving them your phone number?
But it's a great analogy, right? That's perfect. Not that I would ever know anything about that. I've heard tell. Any other comments or thoughts?
Hoorah.
I like you very much. Any other, yes?
I'm reading a book right now, and she's talking about Louise Hay, so also her books. Laura Lightmeyer, and one of the things she talks about, she's big into law of attraction. The comment she made is instead of saying, how can I afford this, or I can't, or instead of saying, I can't afford this, say, how can I afford this? Because your brain will make it work.
Two totally different
You're gonna
statements.
answer the questions and figure out how to make it work.
No, that's a great, and doesn't it just sound different? I can't afford this, how can I afford this? Just completely sounds different right out of it. Okay, anything else? Any other thoughts or comments? I appreciate you guys being here on a sunny day. So I will release you out into the world to go sell lots of houses.